Hello there. I figure I'll just throw caution to the wind and go live. I'm about 5 minutes early. I don't know if you were able to see me eating just now or whether that mermaid preview screen was up. But carrying on from my earlier session, I am going to be trying to fix the mermaid output. This is what I got when I dropped in a tiny little bit of mermaid code here into my daily journal, and included the mermaid include file in the template for my site. And so when it outputs like this, we can view source on it. There's a difference now between view page source and inspect. View page source is just the HTML that you designed or you published. And then inspect is actually the rendered HTML. It actually executes whatever JavaScript is in the code and builds a object, the document object model. They're two different things. This brings up just the HTML of the page to make sure that what I did is correct. And I can tell by just looking at the JavaScript includes, my HTML is pretty minimal, right, as compared to many sites out there. So it's really easy to read just straight from top down. You can see the first bit of JavaScript here is for Google Analytics, the tag manager. And it ends right there, and then here's the mermaid stuff. So it's loading, it's there, all before the head element closes. So it does all its stuff while things are invisible. So positioning of this might be an issue. And the thing that's wrong is just the lines not being there. See that? There's no lines connecting this stuff, and you're like, well, what should it look like? If I take that little bit of code and I actually copy it from there to there, I can go over to a site that I've been playing with, which is the Mermaid actual real-time generator, and you can see I already did it. I already pasted it in there. I think it's real-time. Do I have to hit enter? Like, I can put another thing in here. Yeah, it's real-time, right? Boom, 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 and you just keep adding lines. So it's those lines that are missing. It's those lines that are missing here, and I would need to find out why. So that's what this video is going to be about. I might go on to other topics and other things, but I thought I'd enjoy join you in. I'd enjoy joining you in. Why these codes are so hyper colorful. Yeah, so the colorfulness of it is part of what wins me over to all of this. These are the default colors, mostly, of the days before graphics on computers, or at least bitmapped graphics. So these are colors that were pre-built into these programs that used to exist before computers supported before they supported bitmap graphics. And I guess I'm defining it in my vimRC. I'm choosing one of the particular color schemes to decide what becomes what color. So you're seeing the program stepping in and saying certain things become yellow. The tag names become yellow here. The attributes become green. And then the value of the attributes become this, I guess, sort of magenta color. And these colors, this yellow, this turquoise, this green, this magenta, are all colors built into something called term. So if you really want to know more about it, you would go to one of the search engines and search on I would put in 256 because they got up to 256 colors before it went on to other technologies. But at least when you put in the word term with 256, it will at least tell you about a 256 color terminal, and you can read some of the history of it. These days, when you read the history of these things, I mean, I'm totally in the habit now. Microsoft has sufficiently trained me to wait for the chatbot response and then to let's chat, because, you know, the summary that you get here is often better than what you get by poking around through the search results. So in computer science, 256 is special since it's one of the most common base units in computers, because, you know, binary numbers, there's 2, 4, 8, 16. And so what is 256 color terminal? So if it didn't answer it with just term, then putting terminal in there should tell us a little bit more, because what we strive to do in this text-based alternative world to graphics for muscle memory, for the sake of muscle memory, is to get a 256 color X term, because that gives you plenty of colors with which to get a pretty output like the ones I'm using over there. So hope that answers that. I'm gonna put the chat over here in that window so that I can see you chat as you go. Have I ever been a teacher? Not really. Not an official teacher. I mean, I've taught things. I've been sent to both the Microsoft and Apple headquarters to teach stuff in the past, but never in an official capacity as a teacher. I was teaching the software of the company I worked for at the time, Scala Multimedia, Scala Digital Signage. So I taught a little bit there. So this is really about diagnosing. You know, this is not publishing to my site completely or properly, right? It's just dropping the lines. So it's not terribly wrong, but it's not nearly as pretty as it's supposed to be. I mean, I put a lot of extra lines in there, but it's not the way it's supposed to be here. So I'm going to try and fix that. And there's a few ways to fix it and test it. There's some truly bare minimal ways to do it. And then there's some, you know, I guess fancier or shortcut ways. I guess I should test the bare minimum way first. I kind of hate to do it, but I will. And for that, I can go here to a text editor where I was showing you where I put that file in the default. But I'm going to do both editing the default HTML, and I'm going to edit something called test.html at the root of my home directory. So that's going to put it way up here, even above repos. But that way I'm editing both files at once. See, I'm editing this and I'm editing this. And by editing them both at once, that means I can go find the script file from this one place I used it and just copy it, go to the next place, and then just paste it in. And so there's really not much in there. Shift-O is insert above, and then I'm going to make this into just a basic HTML file. You don't need much for it to be real HTML. You need an HTML root element. Oh, look at that. It gives you this whole thing here. I'll take that, and then I'll put this into the head. Get rid of that one. Oh, it actually tried to do the mermaid for me. I should compare the mermaid script it gave. Look, it's an abbreviated one. It doesn't have that module stuff around it. So maybe I just do that. That's what it tried to suggest. Maybe it's trying to tell me something. And look, it even put some bare bones in there for this, and it knows, it's going to know, of course, it has to end the HTML. And this is a bare bones test. And it's like, oh, you just dropped it onto your drive. How is that really a test? You don't have a web server local. I mean, I do have a web server local, but you don't really need a web server local. Now that I have a location like that, I can go in here and I can go into what I know is the root of that directory, which is What is that? Can I click into that? I don't even know if I can click right into my home. They have some fancy networking stuff going on that you often can. You can click this PC, and under this PC, oh, I don't see WSL there. That's something that kind of, sort of, would be allowed, but I believe we can go see. Yeah, I don't know. That's a mapped location to on the Windows side. It's easier on Windows 11, but I'll just change the location of that. I can put this somewhere else. So I quit out of that. I CD to my Linux home. I ls, you can see the stuff sitting there on my Linux home. And then I can CD into where I know stuff is in common between Windows side and Linux side. And I can CD into C, ls, and then I can CD into users and my directory. And I know if I just put it there, cp from ~/test to this location, now I know it's a place I can at least reach Windows side, right? So from Windows side, I can go directly into my directory like that. I can sort it by date modified, and it'll throw my test right to the top, which I can double click. And you can see it's just showing, and not what I was hoping it would. I was hoping it would actually render that. And to check why it's not, I can go back in and I can vim test.html and just see if I got anything wrong with the layout. So there's HTML begin and end, there's head begin and end, there's body begin and end, and then there is this script file, which I can just double check whether it's really there, because it's the AI that suggested that. I don't really know if that's there. Use that browser as well as any, and get rid of the double quote at the beginning of it. Yeah, couldn't find, right? So that certainly explains some of that. So I can maybe go back and get that include file that I put in the, well, I just re-get it, right? You know, you got these questions, so you go, you know, mermaid include. Not the best choice. CDN. Diagrams can be CDN. We just double click that, or do we click once on that? Why don't you just say, here is the snippet of code you include. Here is the snippet of code you include, and it's back to that module example. So we'll see if I got that wrong. Maybe you needed that whole module thing that I edited out because the AI suggested it, right? Copy buffer is not always, or the copy command is not always quick to work in Windows these days. It takes more than one copy to copy. Now I save that, I go over here and I just do a refresh. There it is, look at that. So that is the bare minimum example of a mermaid. So I know I have like a controlled experiment where if I put this script file and this bit of code, then it will render this. So, and look at how the arrows are black. Black arrows. This very well could be rendering correctly on my site. Now I realize that one of the things I need to look for is the fact that those arrows might actually be there and just be in the wrong color. In fact, I can see them. I can see them now that I know what to look for. There they are. Although this isn't spinning, that's supposed to be a spinner. But I can work with that. Let's see if anyone's typing to me. Why did you decide to start a blog? Yeah. Okay, so I decided to start a blog because it's no harder than the daily notes I do to think out loud. It's kind of like a side benefit, a byproduct, if you will. A byproduct of my daily journaling. A byproduct of my daily journaling. That's why I do a blog, because it's easy to. Why not have you here? So there's another aspect to it, right? You may have noticed the pair programming concept in Copilot. They market it as AI pair programming. It's very similar to the commitment and consistency principle. They work well together. It keeps you honest with your time and on track as far as focus goes. It's hard to focus. It's really hard to focus. Thank you. Oh, what is going on here? Hi, Tushar. Hi, Tushar. This is just my daily work journaling. But now with Copilot. I'm working out Mermaid JS for diagrams, for quick diagrams. I mean, that's what I'm doing right now. In general, I'm doing, just open-ended stuff. So the topic, changes by what I have to do each day. And it just happens to be that I am trying to master this, not master, I'm trying to get success at all with this mermaid diagramming thing. So you'll find that I, from time to time, load ArtRage. I should probably put it back into my shortcuts. I've been trying to get ArtRage out of my process because it's proprietary, right? So with my icons at the top of the screen, let's see, I'll go to screen 4 for that, where I have this going on. We don't need this anymore. That has proven its utility. But on my main alt desktop, I keep Inkscape and GIMP. I used to even keep Blender, sort of aspirational, because I jump into drawing every once in a while, and I like to draw a picture. And I got tired of touching the screen, looking for styluses, having less than sharp lines in my diagrams. And I want to do it in Markdown. I mean, once you make the decision to use Markdown for blogging, for daily blogging like I'm doing here, it's not a far stretch to use Markdown for your diagramming also. So in this program, you can see some of the simple diagrams. ER, entity relationship. This is really important for me because I'm talking with a lot of my coworkers now about what goes into what tables and how joins are done. As my cats. I got cats all over here while I'm talking in case you hear strange noises. And cats on my mugs. I got cats on the brain, no doubt. So let's finish this diagramming thing. I need to change the color of the lines. I was closer than I thought. I actually had it implemented correctly. Too many tabs, so we close down our tabs. You hardly even need to look what they are because you can always get back what you wanted. The markdown or the Mermaid editor is a good one to have still showing. But now I just want to make sure I know how to change the color of the lines there. Yeah, this knows a dark theme. How do you change the theme, the mermaid theme, to dark? I guess I just do that here. How do you change the Mermaid JS theme to dark? That's probably the most straightforward question I can ask. You can see there's a link there. You know, this is now the vibrating edge of my field of search engine optimization. How are people going to be trained? The more work-intensive route, shifting the work to us, is going down here in the search results and looking through, maybe finding a perfect code snippet already displaying. But the more lazy way is to just look at what chat is telling us. Now, I'm not using any plugins. They're telling you how to do it plugins. If you don't specify any custom, then it auto selects dark mode. It doesn't seem to. However, you want to use a custom theme. I hope this helps. What if you were just using the CDN include and don't have YAML? That's what it's trying to show there. I'm just including the CDN for Mermaid in the diagram and the markdown syntax directly. I don't have a command line. Oh, okay, it's a style thing. Let's try that. Let's pick up that style. And that kind of style stuff can be just put directly into the file. I don't think I'd want to do this everywhere this stuff is appearing, but this will certainly be a good test. That should make those lines visible. I'll start rendering that. And then I'll find something else to do for a while because that's going to take a little while to render. Maybe I'll test that over here. The thing that I closed. Well, I can close out of that for now. And then screen 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Always where you try new stuff. And I dropped that into a particular location. cd/melt/c/me users and test. Didn't I just drop it right there? I thought I did. Test.html. Maybe not. Anywho, I saw another chat thing come up. Yeah, what is Mermaid? I'm sorry I didn't. Yeah, Yeah, most people wouldn't know it exists. It's just a diagramming thing in Markdown. So you see here, when I do my daily journal, I don't mess around with, HTML, right? I'm blogging, but when I make bullet points, those become HTML bullet points over there when I publish. This is because of the wonders of something called Markdown. Daring Fireball popularized it. The idea had been around for a while in other file formats, but this particular trimmed down file format for publishing is called Markdown. And then one of the sub-languages that was published for Markdown is this one called Mermaid, which lets you do these quick little easy diagrams, right? You don't have to draw. It's like, free and open source illustration software, except you just use these little codes and it just magically fills out to a drawn picture elsewhere. Speaking of which, that should probably be rendered by now. I can go over here. I can check if it's rendered. If I see any orange, it's still building. It's still building. That'll be the probably quickest way for me to check, although I could go into my test file and mess around with it, make the background dark, put in the style, blah, 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 check it locally like the way I just checked. I might be able to do a Control-Shift-T to bring that up still. Yeah, it wasn't in that browser. Which means it was probably in this browser, but I closed so many tabs I don't feel like pulling it up. This will be my demonstration as soon as this is finished, which it almost is. There we go. Now I go to my site, go into the blog, go into the most recent post, and that's dark mode, but those lines are not visible. Those are still way too dark. I guess part of my definitions, part of my styles, is this sort of medium gray background for anything that's in code, so that no matter which way things leaned, it would still be visible. However, not so for the arrow, so I'm going to have to change those arrow colors. Oh, you like the way things are going here because they've done same things using these AI texts, like having your own mentor. Yeah, new and fascinating, thanks. Yeah. So, I am a big believer in, experimenting in the new sphere. The word out there is, new sphere. I mean, I've heard it talked about now and again. So, it's filling stuff in for me, right? The term is coined by a Russian philosopher and scientist, Pavel. The term is used to describe the sphere of human thought, the sphere of human consciousness, and the sphere of human communication. It's just going to repeat. But the new in new sphere is referring. Well, I like what it was about to say, the newness. Same root as new as in newness, right? Plenty of people are co-pilot AI pair programming. I may be the only one out here, pair journaling. I'll show you my keystrokes because, when I'm in Vim, the keystrokes are not always, but often of some interest. So when I'm dealing with spelling things here, like plenty, I've got a macro set up. I could just do &s and it'll try and grab the first thing, and you can see it got it wrong. But if you're anywhere over it, you can do z equals, and I choose option number 2. And so spell checking in a VI or Vim or NeoVim environment is really no more difficult than spell check in any other environment. You just got to kind of get used to it. The bad things about streams is can't erase our comments. Yeah. Oh, your comments. Oh, if you guys, do you have a wife? Curious. You see my ring. It's okay. I mean, I'll talk about personal stuff sometimes, but sometimes I'll just dodge. Oh, how am I getting the auto suggestions? The auto suggestions are GitHub Copilot, which is a plugin, OpenAI integration with, and I'm going to put Vim in double quotes because it's, you know, it has to be the NeoVim program version of Vim, not the original. Okay, the auto suggest kind of gets it. Oh, I'll tell you why. Because enter. Because that's not the reason auto suggests, because NeoVim supports Vim supports plugins too. Special plugins. The ghosted text, the gray type ahead text to appear. It's using it and it has no idea what it's taught. You know, that gray type ahead text is one of the features that NeoVim supports that Vim didn't support. So, I mean, if you're interested in going down the same route, you simply go to a browser and you search on Copilot. If you have to use 2 words because Copilot's a popular word, you would put GitHub Copilot. Most people are using it through VS Code. Okay, this is mostly a VS Code thing, and almost all roads, no, who am I kidding? All roads lead to VS Code, right? Except that if you are avoiding VS Code like I am because you don't want to become a Microsoft sheeple, then there is a few other programs that are supported. There they are. So 2 from Microsoft. It supports both Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code, right? It supports both the old way of coding with Microsoft heavyweight, bloated, integrated development environments, and the new way of developing with slightly less bloated, integrated development environments. And then it supports the Java IBM-esque way of doing it. It's a very popular third-party IDE package. And then it supports the old school hardcore programmer way of doing it. Although it couldn't do it with Vim directly, it had to use NeoVim for a variety of reasons. So I recently have switched. I've switched my text editor. So as old school as this looks and as comfortable as I look in it and everything, this is really new software for me. Not terribly new because the muscle memory carries over. Long answer, right? All right, so I need to figure out how to change the color of the arrows, how to customize. I want to do it as easy as possible. What is the easiest way to select a theme for Mermaid JS? Like if they have pre-existing themes I can just somehow select, that would be awesome. See, these are just awful. This is the old way. I should never click down on anything that has that sort of yucky ad experience. I just hate that. So I got this here, and I was able to use styles. So I can look at my styles, and I might just figure out what the style selections are, right? So this is an attempt to do that. That was just mermaid theme dark, right? So what I need to do is maybe find a entry here for the lines, right? Fill : FFF. So that exists in the document object model, right? So when you do something like that, there's an object there that has stuff, and we can go look there. We kind of poke there. So I was asked whether I'm a hacker. I mean, I'm not a hacker by any reach. However, I do know that if something's displaying on my site, I can right-click it and I can go inspect, right? Remember I did view source before? View page source is just the HTML that comprises the page, unrendered, such as it were. You can also right-click and go inspect, which brings up this very different interface, which is, you know, the developer tool for web stuff, originally provided by Google Chrome, here in its Microsoft Edge adaptation, which can appear a lot of different ways. I have it in just one of the ways it can appear, so that I can, you know, have this full screen and still have that wide enough so that it can show the HTML, which it's not because I just went a little too narrow. So if I make it a little wider, you'll see the HTML tab pop up. And then if you do a right click and inspect on that again, it pops to the correct place in here. And then when you look here, you know you're on the right thing, because as you mouse around, it sort of twinkles over there. But also, all the styles that belong to it are shown over here. Probably I want it even wider because there's another box it's hiding. Which is the rendered styles, right? These are the styles, but it's showing you kind of a disjointed style view. There is a all-in-one computed style. There they are. And now you can look for things. Color scheme, fill. And it'll stay in sync with what you do here. You can always look for color things, color scheme. Color scheme is dark. Stroke, stroke width. Here's a stroke. Is it dark? Is it that dark purple? Really? It might be. So you can get into the color selectors here and play around. See if any of these different colors are those arrow colors. You can see yourself playing with the colors of these things. And if you don't have quite the right thing, it can be difficult, but you can click right on the line, reselect inspect, and see if it gives you anything better over here. Ah, look at that. That's a dark color. Here's my lines. Hacker? Maybe I'm a hacker. I don't know. But now we got that under the computed colors. Or did we? That was under styles. I don't even know where I was. Here. So when you have something like that and you figure out what's doing it, there's an address here, and it's a terrible address. See that? Where it has mermaid hyphen and this long thing. You don't want that. You want it to hopefully be flowchart hyphen link and not this numbered thing, because numbered things like that are going to change. So I can try this flowchart hyphen link. So if I were to try that, I would go over here to where I define the styles. I would put that in there. But because it is a under Mermaid, yeah, see there's some oh, you have I'm just reading. Wow, knowledge of React.js and Mern stack. Knowledge about it. Okay, so I'm gonna mention an issue because it looks like I'm working on particular technologies. I have kind of an allergy. I'm somewhat allergic. I'm somewhat adverse to particular technologies, especially full web stack, because I get mad at things going obsolete just when you master them. Mermaid isn't so bad because Markdown isn't so bad. Timeless in a way. Yeah, I'm going to have to, yeah, let's see. Sorry, I'm staying tuned into other things at the same time, messages from work and stuff. So I probably am going to have to switch gears pretty soon. But let me get this this color thing worked out. Still you're here, why? Oh yeah, no, I know that, but those lines I was selecting were very, very hard to select. See that? See how narrow they were? So this upper left, the twinkly things here, you can switch your platforms, you can switch what you're pointing at. But sometimes, pointing at it isn't enough because this will kind of stick it onto that. It makes it stay there. So when you right click on something and you go inspect, it highlights it over here, so it kind of sticks it right where it belongs. But at any rate, I was looking at how I felt this is going to render out. And I hate getting stuck on this stuff because it's like, these are the things you shouldn't really have to be paying much attention to. It just sort of is background as you go. So I have a mermaid dark theme with the fill of FFF. I think I tried putting this in here. Flowchart link. Could it be right? It's doing this nested thing. Trying to make it white. This could be it. I'll go with this for a bit. And so if after another render this comes out white, I'll have something at least I can put into an include file. This would be an include file, or the default file. Sorry if I seem a little distracted. I'm going to be wrapping this up soon. I've got a 1 o'clock meeting coming up. I'll just do one more render on that, see if I can get these lines white, because as soon as I have Mermaid Diagrams working well, it gives me a whole nother level of capabilities. I can use this for work just as well, because all my work right now is data related, and when I talk about database tables and stuff, if I can just throw some ERD diagrams around, it's going to help a lot. I won't make you wait for that. I'll stage the before and after. That's going to be this here again. If I do a refresh on that, it'll go right back to its default values where the colors are just real dark. I'll get rid of the inspector. Actually, I'm going to keep the inspector tool up because as long as this is showing, it should keep this from ever caching. Some things cache, and when you make a change, you can't see the change you made because the cache holds on to it. But very typical people who do this kind of editing in these, inspector tools, go into one of the settings in the inspector tools that keeps it from caching, right? As long as this is showing, this won't cache. So this still has to finish here. It has finished. That's good, right? So now it's got to actually do its little bit of rendering, which we can see over here by going into here. And we'll wait for that to finish again. So if you have any questions, throw them in because I'm going to be stopping my streaming real soon to deal with to work on some of the questions that came in that can't be shared in this format. I appreciate that. Tushar Demon. I hope I have the pronunciation right. Most people do not know that you can directly select that icon. That used to be a Firefox only thing, and then it got it into the main Chrome code base, so it's a capability everyone has now. But you need to know the magic thing to click, so yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah. Bye, everyone. I mean, I'm just going to go to the end here to check if I've got those white lines again. There, no, it's not quite fully rendered. The longest time thing is done. The report is done. This will be done. And then I'll do a refresh on that screen. If the lines are white, I'll call this little streaming session a success and end the stream. Doop, 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 doop. There we go. We go back to here and we do a refresh. Oh no, the lines are not white. Let me try it over here because it still might be caching. Same thing, lines aren't white. Okay, I fix it again later. At least I know what's going on. Later, Gators. Talk to you soon.